Restoration is brought to you by
Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Yes, extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
We got Yes protection.
Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence.
I don't compromise on the quality of my food. Use Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix.
Hello, welcome to Restoration. It is awesome to come your way this week, and it is always amazing to know the level of strength we have when we put our mind to do something and achieve great purpose. I would like to say a very big thank you to all our sponsors who ensure that we come your way every week. A very big thank you to Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people, Yas washing powder and Yas sanitary pad, Hooch Corn, and Choco Flakes to Wazi Apartment, located at Mile 7. We're saying a very big thank you to you. A big thank you going out to Aseda Fabric for always ensuring that I have authentic fabric that is being designed by ABS Lax Line, located at Odoko Highway. And yes, if you're looking for any fabric for any occasion, go to Aseda Fabric. They are located at Makola Shopping Mall. When you get to the shopping mall, you can actually ask anybody from downstairs that you're looking for Aseda Fabric, and they will take you there. A very big thank you going to La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. You have been our partner for a very long time, and we say a very big thank you to you. And people should know that if you're coming from anywhere around the world with your family, ensure that you're making that booking, that holiday booking with La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. And during the festive season, we will be introducing some very wonderful packages for your family and your friends. And yes, our kids party would also come on this season, so make sure that you stay tuned to see all the beautiful package La Palm Royal Hotel has for you this season. A very big thank you to GH Beauty Artistry for my makeup, and a big thank you to M-Clan Media Production for always ensuring that Restoration comes your way every week. Big thank you to the Sousa Catering Services for always keeping us refreshed here in our studios. We'll be right back.
Televisions, refrigerators, chest freezers, air conditioners, washing machines, smartphones, sound systems, irons, any kitchen appliances, beauty set, gas cookers, microwaves, blenders, rice cookers, kettles, air fryers, and even break home. And your Hisense Black Friday promo! For the Anabora Hisense showrooms in Yina, 23rd November, 28th November, and your 5 days. And Rena so say who better the free Hisense ho. Madam Hisense, Matiti so say who? Yes, the 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Asa tatwo. First come, first serve. So one quantumless hejawa. And you know what? Hisense Black Friday promo way there. Edu chem. And she say kakra ho. Bibiania for Hisense 0302 550000.
Tasty Tom tomato mix. Ofa kakra. Na ye bebre. Fa kakra yan kwani stew dodoa ope.
Tasty Tom dear, it will surely give you value for money. Steak and little is enough to get our desired quantity of stew and soup, and it doesn't color your meat or chicken.
Tasty Tom tomato mix inti. Me handwriting and sada. Into customers bar never.
I don't compromise on the quality of my food. Use Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix. This advert is FDA approved.
Remember the days I just couldn't go to the gym because it was that time of the month? Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes, comfort, I got yes, confidence, I got yes.
The new Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi. Is it supposed to be that time of the month? Yes.
I got yes, confidence, I got
Yes.
we got yes, protection, I got
Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad for extra comfort.
we got yes, protection.
Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence. The unique combination of natural essences whitens teeth naturally for you and family because every smile matters. New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
Wait, your tomato mix. Wouldn't so one on pass. Still loud, what tomato flavor no? No color changing like traffic light. Come on.
Tasty Tom dear, it will surely give you value for money. The steak and little is enough to get our desired quantity of stew and soup.
Taste no so dear. On point. Flavor new.
And it doesn't color your meat or chicken. I don't compromise on the quality of my food. Use Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix.
This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, and I also have to say a very big thank you to Hair Duties located at Osu near the Photo Club for my hair. Thank you very much, Haja, and your team for always ensuring that my hair is fixed. Yes, it's going out to you, Esther Ohui, and to Henry. Yeah, Henry, who always makes sure the hair is straightened and styled properly. So to Grandpa, all of you, I say a very big thank you to you for supporting Restoration with Stacy. So we come to our conversation for this week. Well, for some time now, I have been advocating for mental health. And in our part of the world, when you speak mental health, people kind of look at it in a funny way, like you're talking about madness. No, we're not talking about madness. We're talking about things that can trigger it. So when we say mental health, I want people to stop shying away from talking about it because we all go through it. If you are stressed, if you are anxious, if you are depressed, anything that gets your mood down is really affecting your mental health. That is why Emerge New Woman is out to tell you that you don't have to be ashamed to discuss whatever you're going through with people. Get a psychologist, talk to someone, talk to a friend, talk to your parents, talk to your partners, because if you don't talk about it, I call it the champagne syndrome. It's only a matter of time for the champagne to pop. So when it comes to talking mental health, I do not want us to take it lightly. Let's take it seriously because we are all affected by it one way or the other. So I was excited when I got this call from our guest who said, I'm willing to share because I've gone through it and I know that people need to hear my story so they know how to handle mental health. Please, my guest for today is Madam Gifty Amoah. Auntie Gifty.
Yes, my dear.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
You know, when I got your message on Instagram, and sometimes people think when you reach out, we don't respond. But for me, Instagram, you would always get me. Facebook, Not really, because I'm not really active on Facebook. So if you really want to reach out to the show, Instagram, either on my personal page, Stacey Martin GH, or on the show's page, Restoration with Stacey, you would reach out to us and we would attend to you. I was excited the moment you mentioned mental health, because in Ghana, we don't discuss mental health.
Yes.
I said, my men are so about them no, and my men are said, na jimu kana kakra no. So it's very difficult for people to even accept that I'm going through a mental health crisis, so let me seek help. At what time did you realize you had a mental health crisis?
I think I can say it started when I was a child. But then growing up, when you are a child and you're going through all these moods, you don't really understand the moods.
When you were a child?
Yes, so let's say from the age of 8.
Wow.
Yes, I was sexually abused.
No way.
Yeah, twice by family members. So that really kind of like it made me more unsettled in life. I was always angry. I was always crying. I was always in a bad mood.
Okay, let's go back. Growing up, how was your growing up? Did you live with your parents?
Growing up, I'm the first child of the family.
Okay.
So when my mother had me, she sent me to my grandmother.
Okay.
So I can say that I grew up more with my grandmother than my mom. So at the age of 4, my dad said, no, we have to take her out. So they put me in a boarding school. But then my grandmother said, no, she has to come home. So I came home and I lived with my grandmother from the age of, I think, 3. So my mother had another child. So I was so it looked like I had a very good childhood with my grandmother.
Okay.
I never
Grandmothers always spoil you.
Yeah. I never grew up really, so I never grew to know my mom. I grew to know my grandmother as my mother. So it was when I was living with my grandmother, when you have family members also coming from the village and living, because my grandmother was a very prosperous woman. She was a big yam seller.
Okay.
So everybody will come and then, live with.
She accommodates everybody.
Yeah, so she accommodates everybody in the family. So it was at the age of 8, I think I was sleeping and I felt some hands touching my body, and by the time I realized something has happened. And I couldn't tell anybody, because all they said was, when you say we are going to say you are lying. So then that started with...
And this person was a family member?
A family member. There were 2 brothers.
2 brothers. Were they visiting or they lived in the house?
My grandmother's sister's children. So they were my uncles. So they were living with us. So I told my mom about it, but she said, it's family, so let's be quiet.
No way.
Yes. But then when it continued going on, I had to tell my grandmother, because I was so close with her. So I went to my grandmother and I told her. And right away, she took an action.
How did you feel?
Oh, my goodness.
That the first time an 8-year-old, this is someone you call uncle.
Uncle, yes.
Someone you're supposed to rather run to if someone offends you. And this time, the protector becomes the offender.
Offender, yes.
How did you feel the next morning?
Honestly, very awful. Very, very awful. So in the morning when I woke up, I just had to go and shower. I didn't know who to tell, because they warned me not to say anything to anybody. So I realized that it continued, so I changed my room. But then when I changed my room, they continued coming. So one person will be standing by the door watching, and then the other person will be doing whatever he wanted to do. So I realized that it was going on and it was affecting me, but I was a child, so I didn't know where to turn to. But then I said, no, I have to talk to Mama. That's how I call my grandmother. So I went to my grandmother and I talked to her, and then she said, no, you should have told me this long time ago. And I said, well, I told my mom, but when my mom visited, but she said it's a family thing, so I have to keep quiet. And my grandmother said no. So right away, my grandmother called the boys. They came back from school. And she told them, you have to pack your stuff and leave the house. So they left and they went to the village to live with their mother.
Wow.
So it made me afraid to go close to men. When there are men, honestly, you would never get me going close to. No, I would never. So I guess it started, but then because you were a child and you don't know what is going on, it continued. So I remember at the age of 15, and so that really made me have a different perspective of my mother. Because if you're a mother and I come to you and you can't do anything to protect me,
situation.
then I don't know if I can come to you. So I grew very, very close with my grandmother.
And grew distance.
You know, and I distanced myself. So I went to primary school, and then when it was middle school, I went to Salem. That time we had, you know, Salem, the latter Salem. So I went there, and then when I finished, I think I applied for secondary school Form 1, but I was so young. Okay. So my mother said, no, she's too young to leave. Form 2, my mother said, no, she's too young to leave. All along, I applied for Abri Girls. I went for interview, but because I didn't go for school, the third time when I applied, they didn't give me the opportunity to.
You.
So then I left and I went to secondary school at Koforidua. And so when I came home, it was like I wasn't getting along with, I think, that kind of pull, because my mother wanted me to stay with them in Accra. So my grandmother said, okay, it's okay, you just go and stay. But that kind of relationship wasn't there. So I couldn't. So one day I came back from school, and my dad said, oh, I have this cousin at Takoradi. Do you want to go and stay with them and the wife and the children? So I said, okay, I'll do that. But then when I went, it happened again. At the age of 15, yes.
In Takoradi?
Yeah, in Takoradi. The man was a big person in Takoradi. So when I came back, my dad, the following...
How did it happen? Was he also family friend?
Yeah, he was my dad's cousin. So he was also an uncle.
15, you are pretty old. You can have conversations.
Yeah.
You can make certain choices. How did it happen?
So I was in the room. I think they gave me. He and his wife gave me a room. So I was a room and then in the evening he would come to the room and he would say some things, and then he would hold my mouth, and then whatever will happen will happen. So then I told him that I want to go back to Accra. So he said, you are not going. So it continued. So when the time came for me to go to Accra, I went back. So when I went, I told my dad. This time around, I was so bold. I told my dad, and my dad was so upset. And then that was where I got to know, I became very rebellious. I was a rebellious child. My mom thought maybe I wasn't respecting. I started drinking. I started smoking.
No way.
Yes. I started drinking. I started smoking. One thing I thank God is I never got to the weed. I tried the weed once, but it didn't sit well with me. So I said I wasn't, going to do it. And then I tried to finish, and then it affected my learning. I wasn't interested in learning, but because I'm being the first child, everybody's looking up to you also. So I had to do what I had to do. So when I finished, I had to go to nursing school, but then I said, no, I don't want nursing. So I went back to Abri Women's. So I was there when I finished. Immediately I finished, that was around 79 when Rolling School came. And being the first child, and we are 7 children, looking at the way my dad lost his job, my mom also lost her business at Makola. So at the age of 22, I decided I have to leave Ghana. Because even at home, I wasn't getting along with I wasn't getting along with my mom. So having finished training college, I said, no, I have to leave. And it's continued, because, when you go through abuse, sometimes you think it's okay. It's not okay, but you think it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can do anything. So I realized that men were taking advantage, So to be honest with you, it made me really hated men.
So at 22, when you decided you wanted to leave, where were you going?
I didn't know, but then luckily for me, a friend of mine also has a friend. He had a friend, she had a friend in Nigeria. So she said, Gifty, you were a teacher, you just came out, so if you want to come with me. That time I was teaching at Independence Avenue Girls. Okay. So I said, okay, I'll go, because at home I'm not comfortable. Especially when you have a mother and you are not comfortable with her. My dad was one of the sweetest. He was my soulmate, he was my best friend, because he would always jump to save me or to encourage me in things. So then I left home at 22 and I went to Nigeria. And I went there. When I went to Nigeria, I started teaching. Luckily for me, I had a job. But at the beginning, it was difficult. But the woman I went with was having issues also with, with her husband. And I'm at home. So when I cook, I try to give the husband some, and she said, no, I shouldn't give her husband. So I said, no, I'll have to. So one night we were all sleeping and she came to wake me up and she said, have you given my husband food? I said, yes. And then she said, I want you out. And you can imagine Nigeria, Ajekunle, you can imagine that place. So this woman sent me out of the house. And luckily for me, I had some Ghanaians living on the same floor. So the husband and the wife took me, in. And then the following morning, they said, what we can do is we can let you go. So they asked me to go to Ibadan. So I went to Ibadan. And that was where I started my journey of teaching in Nigeria for 2 years. So it was there that I met some people from my village, actually my town, my village. And then they said, oh, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm looking for a school. And then they said, okay, we'll take you. My friend and the husband, they said, we'll take you. So when we went, they had a small room. So I also stayed there with them. And then they said, well, we have a friend who stays in a big place, so we want you to go there. And apparently when we go and then we're sitting down, we'll drink. Because I was drinking, because that my mind.
You had so much on your mind.
So we're drinking. So not knowing, any time we go to drink, this guy would drop something in my drink. The guy that I'm seeing at his house. Ooh. And then one day I told my girlfriend, I said, Maggie, anytime I wake up in the morning, I can sense something funny. It looks like somebody drags me or something. And she said, okay, we'll watch it. So I went out that day I agreed with my friend. And I went out to the washroom. So when I went back to the washroom, my friend saw the guy putting something in my drink. So she turned it around. So she said, Gifty, don't drink. So when the guy came, he drank. And so that night I was free. So then I said, no way. So then
I can't live here.
I can't live here because this cannot continue. So then I went to the school board. So when I went there, luckily I met this gentleman. And then I told him that I'm looking for a school. And then he said, okay, I can give you a school, but we are not ready, but I can find a place for you to stay. So fortunately, he got me a very nice place, a hotel to stay, but also in the evening he'll come and he'll do, so it's like...
Everybody's trying to use you along the way.
So then like 1 week, and then one week when I said, look, Kunle, if you cannot find me a place, let me go back to Ghana. Luckily that day, God provided me with a school. So by the time I got to the school, they have a place for me. So I met some Ghanaian teachers there. And honestly, it was difficult for me to go close to them. But these two gentlemen taught me that there are some men still around who would never hurt me. So then I stayed there, and then my mother was coming to Nigeria to visit because she used that opportunity to get close to me. But because of what started, the pain and everything was just out. So then around when Nigeria said, Ghana, Monko, Ghana must go, I said, no, I have to take an opportunity of this. So I had to go for visa for US, go for visa for Canada, go for visa for Europe. And I got all the visas, but then some friends of mine said, oh, we are going to Holland. I had a friend there. So why don't you come and stay with us? So I said, okay. So I used my visa to go to Holland. And I stayed in Holland for about 1.5 years. So then when I was in Holland, I decided, no. That time Canada was coming up. Mm-hmm. So I said, no, I don't think I want to. Because my girlfriend also was very, very rude because I didn't have documents.
Yeah, because you're on a tourist visa.
Yes. And 2, I can't even work. Mm-hmm. So my friend gave me a friend's document to use. And whilst using it, she was very upset because she realized that I was getting more money. And the husband, luckily the husband is from my town.
Okay.
So the husband was very close also to me, And then my friend was so upset. So one day she just said, I want you out of my house. So luckily I was working double job. I was teaching English as a second language and I was doing cleaning in the evening.
Okay.
So then I had money to rent a place. So one day I was going to work. I was using my friend's document to do the cleaning. And then she called me. She said, Gifty, don't go anywhere. Somebody has reported you to Holland immigration. Oh. So you see all this while my mindset was not really okay. But then I have to continue. It's like you have to move because I have to move. That made me very, very strong. So then I said, no, I'm going. And then Julie called me again. I said, I'm going. Fortunately, God has it. On my way going, I was riding my bicycle. Mm-hmm. And then there was this old lady who is also driving. And she knocked me. So you see those handles on the bicycle. It broke and it broke you can see I have a small mark here. My forehead. Yeah, it was big, but they gave me medication, so now it has closed up. So then I just fell and I was running because if it's immigration attacking you and somebody has knocked you down, and she was an old woman, so she was like, the police will come. Yeah. But I ran. I was running like crazy. I didn't even know where I was going with blood coming out. And luckily for me, it was a little bit of winter, so I had my neck, my thing, and so I had to use it. So I had to run to my friend's place. I didn't even go home at all. I didn't go where I was living. So I ran to my friend's place. And when I went, my friend's girlfriend saw that my face was swollen. So she said, I don't want to mention him. Let's take her to the hospital. My girlfriend said, no, we won't take you to the hospital. But then my friend said, no, if we don't take her to the hospital, she's going to die. So all I saw, by the time I realized it was I was at the hospital. And then what I heard, the last thing I heard before was the woman saying, the doctor saying that, no, we cannot allow this beautiful face to be destroyed. So by the time I woke up, they have stitched, actually they have put some things in my head, and they have stitched it. So once in a while I have headache. So if I looking at it, I said, no, I don't think I can live here. And still all the time it was, sometimes I'll be walking, I'll be talking, and I'll be doing things. But then because of the sexual abuse, I normally don't go close to men because I'm afraid that when I go close to any man, it can happen again. So then it was there that I realized that I had to leave Holland. And that time, Ghana passport had a Commonwealth. So, but when I got to Holland airport, they said, I can't go because that thing has just been closed. So then I have to come back to Holland again. I was living in not Amsterdam, but another place. So I came back to my friends, and then we took the train to Belgium. So when we went to Belgium, I was living in Brazil. So they said, okay, we are going to find a way for you to leave, Belgium. So I didn't even go back to my friend. So I lived in Belgium for a while. I was working because of my background, so I was working in the hotel as a restaurant manager. So I managed that well to get some money. Yeah, so they found me a passport, and that was how I got myself in Canada. So I got to Canada. I've lived in Canada for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yes. So it was in Canada that I realized I started having all these, mindset coming on. It was like my mind wasn't okay. But then I have to move on because you don't have anybody. And I was still young. So my mind started, I started having a whole lot of, I don't even know how to describe, but to be honest, if you ask me how am I here today, I can say that it's just the grace of God. So then I started, and then I got to Canada. I saw some friends that I met in Belgium. They gave me a place to stay. But then if I sleep in the evening, I'll be waking up. I'll be lifting my head up to see if they're coming from the bed to the floor. But they also didn't hurt me. So then I had to go through what I have to go through to get my papers. And then luckily for me, when I got there, they were having this amnesty. So that gave me the opportunity to stay in Canada. So then it was from there that I said I have to do something because I cannot teach. So I have to do something with my life. But then I realized that my mindset was not really. So all the flashes were coming back from my child.
They keep coming back to you.
The flashes were coming back. Sometimes I would sleep and I would just wake up and I would just, cry. I would just yell. Because I felt somebody's coming to rape me or somebody's coming to do something, for me. So it came to a point, I said, no, I have to do something with my life. So I just had to do a secretarial course. And it started, the whole thing came back when I started the job at the bank. I met somebody introduced somebody to me, and I said, look, I'm not ready for a relationship. So I guess it was through the relationship that
it all started gathering again.
So my friend said, oh, this gentleman is a nice guy, he's in the States. And so I went to the States, got married, not knowing, if you don't know somebody, you just go and get married to the person, and it was my nightmare. It wasn't a physical abuse, it was the emotional abuse.
You see, I'm just you get introduced and you just leave Canada, go to the States and get married, just like that.
Just like that. So I sponsored this gentleman
I had to give to the triangle break and run now. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Auntie Gifty.
Televisions, refrigerators, chest freezers, air conditioners, washing machines, smartphones, sound systems, irons, and kitchen appliances gas cookers, microwaves, blenders, rice cookers, kettles, air fryers, and even home. And your Hisense Black Friday promo! For the Anabora Hisense showrooms in 23rd November, 28th November, and your 5 days Emrena so say wo beto de unye bia free high sense ho. Madam High Sense, matiti so say who? Yes, I the 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Asa tatwo. First come, first serve. So one quantum less hejawa and you know what High Sense Black Friday promo way there. Edu chem and she say kakra wo ho. Bibiania for High Sense 0302 550000.
Tasty Tom tomato mix. Ofa kakra. Na ye bebre. Fa kakra yan kwan stew dodo a ope.
Tasty Tom dear, it will surely give you value for money. Steak and little is enough to get our desired quantity of stew and soup, and it doesn't color your meat or chicken.
Tasty Tom tomato mix into. Me handwriting and sada. Send ne den dia sanet into customers bar never.
I don't compromise on the quality of my food. Use Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix.
This advert is FDA approved.
Remember the days I just couldn't go to the gym because it was that time of the month? Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes, comfort, I got. Yes, confidence, I got. Yes.
The new Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi. Is it supposed to be that time of the month?
Yes. I got. Yes, confidence, I got.
Yes.
We got yes protection, I got.
Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad for extra comfort.
We got yes protection.
Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence. The unique combination of natural essences whitens teeth naturally for you and family because every smile matters. New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
Welcome to a High Sense Super Crazy Giveaway moment. Yaba Roji One Hair Studio. There is no way I be quiet ne Madam Enkasa. Madam so the international. Nanka me si me ne Enkasa but as a me ne Enkasa girls ne best friend is we enya hwenti.
On best friend me.
Anti no say me ne wo kasa. Enti mo amati Roji One. Eye nua ba Jemisa Akodie aka Roji International. 1 woman 1,000.
1,000.
We do 1 woman 1,000.
Hey, 1 woman.
We unyuma doso. Nso ye ni nyina. Oba ite say.
Mpacho me won ye kue.
De nyame asna mpacho say ya ye wo afide so da be na ba restoration.
Nyame mre ne mre pa.
Me bet me next week, bet me so next month.
E bet me cry yo china.
Amen.
Ti edru ba meba.
Ati, ye hwe anim pa. Na oba, wo de ye ne wa na ye restoration. Ase na say na ma rose ma me mbo meti bi mu nti ase ya ban ne me. Ya ma me ban. Hey! La first episode de hepa na your favorite.
Selena Boatin.
Hey. Then your favorite?
Or can send be a kama. I don't know metina ho am point still na ma dwen nyina ye mentanta.
Na
asem na ne say e che pan na onya ware. Enso na nya se bi a obo akohwibra bi ntina na onya ware o. Wode ne ho abo afode ma Kristo enso na onya ware. Ento obi agusa da be na abeware emre pamu no nyame ma ne kunu. O ma ne kunu wie afa ye busa se da be na abewo. Eti no ono no wanya kunu wie. Ye san so busa se da be na obewo.
Want no get no want.
If you say ewi ase no enipa nti nyame ase. Nyame no de ope na oye. But ye nipa ni nti no de ono no ye ne yenim. Enti me de bia maso meka nyina ne say emre pam no nyame ye ene wo ye kwan so ma ne ye fe chen de ka wo nipa na usu se nka apese wo ye. Enti de ana de bia meka kire girls ya me no mo ye adwuma ne say omunya abotre wa abraboni mu no na emre pa bi no de omu hwehwe bia nyankopon de be mom. If you say me enso so kra no me do to me wofo me mate fo nyina akọ school me nkwa na manko eso me pamu no ya me de mesi ba bia ebi kwa me ko school se nka pese me si ba bia me si na ka me tinu nuru ho nti na de meka ne se nya me mre ene mre pa
ye da se madam we de why ade bon se ma ho nti sa mre ya chede free high sense ho no emre edu se e wo se ye de emma nti high sense ye mfa we enna was ni enka se nyame nsha no nya wo kese madam international road amen ti dey na catch high sense
dey make catch high sense se nyame nsha wo mo pa ene ma pa omo ye organ ha ye hu eti no media me no ma no aye ya adwen se omo ne ma de ye use free air condition from kren to kran ena omade bia nu hono ma ya use wa ha no ma asay because on kra no obi aba no fa remote abi fa no chimto obi kwa remote nkro ni mu eti no say ya so say ya so ye no afa and so still eye adwuma ye siesie ha yi ya ko be 3 years and say ye mpo me fa nkoda and so mama ye 5 years warranty me just say be 10 years kra na ye fa nkoda eti high sense mo ye adwuma pa ma o my Ghana.
Yeah, that's super Madam Rochi. It's yes, we better damn ya shefo nyina say next week you better sign the winner for a Bremo.
Restoration.
Welcome back, and that is our winner for this week's High Sense Super Crazy Giveaway moment. So it's still very hilarious where we left off our conversation. A friend introduces you to somebody in America. Just like that.
Just like that.
Did you court for a while?
I visited once. And I guess because maybe I was looking for somebody to protect me.
Okay.
Because I was looking for somebody to protect me. So I just said, okay. So I just went to the States and I just got married. And I sponsored the guy and the guy came back. And that is where mental health starts. When you are going through emotional torture or when you are going through trauma, nobody sees it. Yeah. If it's physical, they will see this, the scars. But mental health, the scars are deep. So it was like I was so much wanting to be attached to somebody.
You trying to find essence, validation.
Validation,
from somebody.
Thank you. And I was always trying to find validation with people because it's like, I ask myself, anything that I do, people don't like it. So what can I do? So all the time, I would try to find validation. I would show love to everybody. But then at the end of the day, I get hit. So when he came, the emotional abuse, and I remember the last, just to cut it short, one day.
No, I don't want you to cut it short. So you got married to him, sponsored him to join you in Canada. Was he not working?
No, he just finished university.
Oh, okay. So you went for bedding?
I went for bedding, yes. So that time I was working at a bank. So I was so happy I was working at a bank. And one thing I'm so grateful, I always have a job. So then when he came, that was where everything started coming up. He was abusive, not really in a physical sense, but very, very emotionally and verbally abusive.
And verbal abuse, it's one of the most dangerous ones, because if you're not very strong-willed, you begin to believe the words the person speaks to you. And here you were working at the bank, then you had someone telling you things that did not represent you, and you didn't have a choice. You had to accept it because consistently,
yeah. And from childhood, I've been hearing that also from my mom. You know, because I was a first child, my mom was, oh, you will not amount to anything. Yeah, when I was growing up, yes. So my mom, sometimes the things that we parents, we say to our children, we think it will not have effect, but it does have a lot of effect. So I was hearing some of the things my mom would say, I was hearing it from the gentleman. So it came to a point, I became more like an alcoholic. I drink. I mean, I'll go to work in the morning, but when I come back, that is what I do. I would drink and I would just sleep my sorrow.
And where was this gentleman at that time?
He was in Canada. He was working, and I was still working at the bank. He had a job when he came.
So you come back, instead of coming
to a home.
You made the home a drinking spot.
I made my home a drinking spot. Or I'll just go and I'll buy the drinks and I'll bring it. And then we had 2 bedrooms because it was only me and him. So then I would just drink in my room. So then drinking continued. My mind wasn't really going well. I was frustrated. I was depressed. The depression set in. So it came to a point that I committed suicide.
No way.
Yes. Because it was too much for me, and I can't get anybody to open up to. You know, in the Ghanaian community, you can't go and tell somebody what is going on. You know, the stigma. The stigma of you telling somebody that, you know, you have been abused. Oh no, oh boy, we are collaborating. You know, that kind of thing. And so I remember we had this African women workshop that we did, and that was where I started talking about all these. But then there was this Somalian woman, she said, oh, Africa, we don't do those things. And I said, we do it. Men do it. Some men do it. Yeah. But then because we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it,
so people don't know. So when you're talking about it, it becomes like, So I felt so awkward in the group. So I said, I'm not going to go to that group again. So I started drinking. Drinking was my friend. Alcohol was my best friend. But one thing I'm almost always grateful is my dad gave me a reading. So from my childhood, I started reading. So either if I'm not drinking, then I'm reading. So up until now, reading gives me my sanity. So one Saturday, I didn't go to work. And then I went out in the morning because it was going on. It was too much. The verbal abuse, emotional abuse was too much. The trauma was too much. So then I went out in the morning. The malls were not open yet because we were living close to the mall. So I went there and there was this cafe. So I didn't even drink coffee that morning. I woke up, brushed my teeth, got my dress on, and I just went. And then when I went, I just had to sit. I started drinking, you know, beer until the malls would be open, and I had to buy my liquor. So I bought my liquor, and then I came home, and I came home. And I continued to drink. So then I wrote a small note. So I was drinking, and it came to a point that it was too much. I don't know what gave me the courage. Then I just had some pills also, so I took those pills because I know that alcohol and the pills will knock me out. So I had the courage to get up, and I went across my next door. My next door was a Ghanaian. So when I went there, I just started knocking, Atumingbo. But Atu didn't hear. And I think the wife was a Jamaican. So it was a wife who heard somebody and said, Thompson, somebody is knocking at the door. But then when Atu came out, I was just lying. The door was open. I was just lying. I was foaming because the drink and the alcohol has messed. So they called an ambulance. And by the time I woke up, I saw myself in a suicide watch, ward. And
so where was your husband?
He was sitting
through
down.
It all?
No, through it all. He was just sitting down like this. He was just sitting down reading his newspapers. And
You're kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
He was in the room.
He was in the room. So Atu just came and Atu slapped him, said, what kind of husband are you? So even when they took me to the hospital, my husband didn't even go. So that was the day my friends saw my nakedness because they had to pull everything out and tend me for all the vomit and everything to come out. So ambulance came in and they took me. So they took me to a ward, suicide watch. And then I woke up and I said, where am I? Because I didn't know my environment. And my mind too was not like, So luckily I had these 2 Italian women who were there in the room, and they told me that they really counseled me. We have doctors coming, and I have a few friends also coming to visit. And the ironic part of it was my husband never visited. So when the social worker came, that time I was still working at the bank. So the bank was told that I was sick. So when my husband, the social worker said, can we talk to your husband? So I gave them my husband's phone number, and then they called him. And then he said, no, I don't love her, so whatever she wants to do, she can go ahead and do it. Yes, I heard it because they put it on a speakerphone, so I heard it. And that was where I started going mental. It was like I was weeping, I was crying. And then I said, when I got out from the hospital, I went back to work. And sometimes when I'm going to work, I forget about myself. Even though I was working at the bank and I was at the front.
Wow.
So my hair will be...
If you were a teller, I'm sure at the end of the day, can't walk her off.
Luckily for me, I was an administrative assistant.
So we
Yes.
just have to be thankful, because
Yes.
if you were a teller, I'm sure someone would bring a check for $300 and you pay $3,000.
I'll pay $3,000, yes. So I was so lucky to have good supervisors. That is one thing I've really got along my workplace. Everybody loves me. So one day I was going to work. I was driving, and when I got to the subway, I drive to the subway, and I'll take the subway to my workplace. And I think in my hand, when I was buying my ticket, the key, my house keys, my car keys, everything, I left them at the place. So I went to the office, and my supervisor came and said, Gifty, are you okay? We can see that you are not okay. Because look at your hair. My hair was messy. I didn't even brush my hair. And that was something that led me to do my dread. My hair was messy, everything was messy. Then my supervisor came and says, Gifty, do you want to go home? I said, I don't want to go home. But she said, I have to go home. Because it's like, it's not somebody, I didn't look like
you belong to the bank at that
moment. So then they have somebody take me to the place. So when we went there, and I told the guy, I asked the guy there, I said, did somebody leave their key? And then the gentleman said, what's your name? Because I have my name and everything and my address. So I mentioned, and they gave it to me. And then my friend drove me to the house. So then they said no. So they gave me 1 month off. And they paid me, and they gave me money to even go anywhere I want. So I had some friends in Chicago. So I said, you know what? I don't think I can stay in this house. So I have to go to Chicago. So I went to Chicago to stay for a while, just to get clear my mind and have my sanity back. But then the depression set in. The anxiety set in, the panic attacks set. Sometimes I don't even want to go out because I don't know what I'm going to meet outside. So then after the 1 month, coming home was another issue for me.
I'm coming back.
But then when I came back, a few friends that I knew, they found a place for me to go and live. And going to live in that...
So you moved out?
So I moved out. Yeah, I moved out.
But
I forgot one part of the story. I think when I was drunk and we were fighting one day, he bit my back. So I also became very aggressive, and I had to hold some parts that I'm not supposed to hold. So he called the police for me. So when the police came, my mind was, out. So he told them that I'm the violent one, and I'm the abuser. So then the police lady, the woman was for him, but the police officer, the man was for me. And I said, something is because I was drunk, so I was feeling the pain from the bite. So the man said, are you okay? I said, something is here. So when they removed my dress, then they found that he has bitten me. So then he said, I did it myself. And
How are you going to bite your back?
So the police officer said, let me turn your wife's back to see if it will reach there. But so they turned my mouth, but it still didn't reach there. So they said, do I want to press charges? But when you are going through those, I said, I don't think so. Because I didn't want it to become, nasty. And I didn't want the community to get to know about what I was going through. Because as a woman, when you are going through these things, one, the shame, the stigma, the fear, what people are going to say. I lost my self-esteem. I lost the courage, the hope to live. I felt like I have to die. So I moved to another person's place. And then when I moved to the place, I was still going through all these things. So then I started going to, and then the church also came in. The church said, once I've moved from my husband's house, then I cannot come to the church. And I said, because I'm getting a divorce. So with all
the church that had to give you support.
That's the support and the solace.
And solace turned you away.
Turned me away. So then I told my workplace I have to resign, because I have to resign and get my my mental health, back. So I resigned. I wasn't working. I was on welfare, and luckily, I think my friend also, another friend also again, because when you are going through all these things, you just don't know. A friend told me that, okay, we have this friend again. Look at me, you're silly me. We have this friend in the States. She's looking for a wife.
Again.
So even you are frustrated. You don't even know whatever you are doing. So I said, I don't want to go. But they said, oh, this guy is nice. And it was my birthday. So the guy said, okay, Gifty, I'm going to send you a birthday gift. And he sent me a ticket. So I flew over to Florida. But when I went to Florida, when I saw the guy, he's a very handsome, nice guy. But I said, no, this is not my type. I think that was where I said no. But then I was drinking, he was drinking, I was drinking. He was also drinking. So when I was drinking and he was drinking, I said, this is not going to be good.
This is not good.
So apparently he was also going through his own mental health issues.
Then the two of you would be fire.
So then, luckily for us, we didn't do anything. But the last week for me to come, that is how I conceived my daughter. The last week for me to come back to Canada, to Toronto, then something happened because we went out, we ate, we were drunk. So the following morning when I woke up, both of us saw that we were naked. So I said, something has happened. As a woman, I had to touch some places, and I said, something has happened. I cried because I didn't want to. For the 3 weeks, I never did anything with him, but we were always drinking. So then when I went to Toronto, I went to see I felt so funny with my body. I went to see my doctor, and my doctor said, Dr. Sam said, Gifty, I don't think you can be pregnant because the first one you were not pregnant. So how come you are saying that you were pregnant? So I said, and so he said, you come to the hospital. So I went, and then they did some emergency test. I didn't even get home. By the time I got home, I had a message on my voicemail saying that I'm pregnant. And I said, me, pregnant?
For who?
Said, for who? With who? How do I go and tell this gentleman that I'm pregnant?
Meeting you for the first time?
Meeting me for the first time and being there 3 weeks. And then the last week, we only had once. It doesn't take two to make a baby. So then the doctor said I was pregnant. What do I do? Do I abort this baby or what? Because, when you are going through all these things, so I pick up the phone, I call my parents back home. That time they were alive. So I told my dad that this is what is going on. I'm pregnant with somebody, but I want to abort the baby. And that was where my mother stood up for me. My mother said, if you abort this child, I'm not going to be your mother. You are out. Because I don't want people at the end of the day to say that your siblings having children and you don't have a child. So, Ghanaians or your before any idea. So it really took me the strength. And a friend of mine, that friend is still in Ghana, and she's been my support. She's been my rock from Canada to this place. So she said, no, Gifty, I'm not going to. So they were monitoring me. So I wasn't working. They were monitoring me. So when it was about, I think about a month for me to have the baby, I told the guy. The guy said, no, that's not my child. You come here to trap me. And that wasn't the whole situation. And I had some very good friends who were sending me money. I wasn't working, so they were sending me money. So at least that was what I was living on.
But he forgot that on the last day something happened.
So that time, he and his mother were not talking. They were not on good terms, but that gave them the opportunity. And I thought maybe the mother, knowing that her son is going to have a child, will be happy, but rather she made it worse. She said, oh, she came to trap you. And then, so luckily for me, a friend of mine, a Jewish friend of mine said, Gifty, I can find you a job so you can bring your mom. I said, how can I bring my mother? With all that I've been through with her. But then I didn't have any choice, so I had to. So what happened was my friend got me the job. I was working as an event planner for this gentleman. From teaching to bank to event planner and secretarial thing. So the guy was so helpful. So the guy and his wife, they bought the ticket for my mom, and my mom came. And then 1 week I had my daughter.
So the event company got the tickets for your mother to come. Wow, they did well.
Yes.
And when you finally had your daughter?
When I finally had my daughter, it was a tear of joy, but it was also a sad part because I didn't want to touch her because of the way the guy did. I didn't want to touch her, and I have this postpartum depression that also set in.
Because the father didn't want to be part of your life.
And then
you had her, you didn't plan.
I didn't plan.
It was the alcohol.
It was. And because of all the mental health issues that I was going through, it was good my mother was there, because if my mother wasn't there, maybe I would have just killed my child. Because I'll pick her up in the morning and I'll just throw her away. So I never slept with my daughter. The only thing I did was just to breastfeed. So I even breastfed her for only 6 months. because I didn't want to have anything,
any attachment.
You know, so it was then but then my mother also came and she added a whole lot of issues. So I started, that time somebody said you have to seek counseling. So I started going to counseling. And it's been like this, it's been on and off and on and off. But then I went on medication, but then it affected my liver. So my doctor said no. So then I started doing some meditation, I started talking to myself, I started reading books. So at the end of the day, it helped me to become a mental health advocate. So I had to take some classes just to better myself, because the depression, the anxiety, the panic attack, all these are there. And sometimes when you are going through these things, somebody will say you are mentally ill, but mental health is different from being mentally ill. Yeah. If you don't treat mental health, then that is what we become mentally ill. Yeah. You know, so that is something that I have lived with my life, and up until now, once in a while I get depressed. But when
we all get depressed.
Yeah, when I get
we all get anxious.
When I get depressed, when I get anxious, I'll just go out,
no more alcohol.
No more alcohol. Once in a while I drink, but it not like before. No more alcohol. I'll just take my book, I just go and read. And that calms me down. And then yes, so mental health is really real, but we don't take it serious. We don't talk about it.
We don't. It's like a taboo.
It's about taboo. Health. You know, and for me, when I started doing this, when I started talking about it in Canada, and when I started doing some counseling with others also, it really has helped me to, you know, accept myself for who I am. Wow. And I can see myself. And through that, I was able to get my degree. I wanted to go and do my master's, but I didn't have money because I had to see my daughter go to school. Oh, and I'm so grateful. Yeah, so now she's doing her PhD, and I'm so proud of her.
Oh, bless you.
Yes.
So where is her dad now? Is he part of your life now?
No. Still? And even my daughter doesn't even want to have anything to. I've tried so many times for her to have a relationship. She tried, but the guy, I think he has his own mindset. So, yeah, but I'm so happy.
He's dealing with his
own issue. Yeah, I think he also had his own issue because he was drinking and all those things. So, wow. Yeah. So mental health is a problem.
It is.
And we need to talk about it.
We need to. Thank you very much. Sometimes when you talk about it, people feel, oh, yeah, bro, no, but it's part of us as a people. And I'm very grateful that you've come out to share, for people to know that there are times that we see the triggers and we kind of pay a blind eye to it, but sometimes the little things that hurt us, they compound, then they begin to affect us mentally. So thank you very much, Auntie Gifty, for coming. So it's time for you to pick a card. So whatever card you pick, you give it to me, so we see what High Sense is giving to you to take home.
I see. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for coming. You take home a sandwich maker.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So High Sense actually have some lovely products for your home this season. This Christmas, we are actually introducing very dynamic appliances for your kitchen. So we have toasters, we have sandwich makers. So we are making your breakfast easy. When you slice your bread, you don't have to wait and pan toast it or anything. All you have to do is toss it in our toaster, and when it's ready, it will come up. So this is how our sandwich maker is. Yes, that's exactly how it looks like. Yes. So please, if you go to any of our showrooms, just say you want some of our sandwich makers and you get this one. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to just talk about my mental health journey. But thank you so much.
This is how we do it on Restoration, and this is also from our sponsor, Lexta Ghana Limited, producers of Yas. They also want you to have this.
Thank you.
For coming to share your story.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think we can put this here.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, so if you're watching us at home, you know that you can come in and share your story. Sometimes you just need someone to share a story for you to identify what you're dealing with that you cannot find answers to. A very big thank you to our sponsors, Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people, Yas Washing Powder and Yas Sanitary Pad, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Tuwazi Apartments. Thank you very much for always ensuring that you support us. A big thank you to HoochCon and Choco Flakes, to Acida Fabric, ABS Lax Line. Thank you very much for this beautiful outfit, Ophelia. I really love this outfit. Big thank you to GH Beauty Artistry for my makeup and that of my guest, and also to Hair Duties located at Osu near Photo Club for my hair. Big thank you, M-Clon Media Productions, and of course the Souza Catering for always ensuring that my team and I are refreshed. This has been such an insightful episode, and I know that both women and men took some lessons from it. Always do remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. We'll see you next week.